When the Jewish people declared independence in 1948, they offered their Arab neighbors an olive branch, full and equal citizenship. About a tenth of Palestine's Arabs took them up on their offer. The rest declared war.
The 160,000 Palestinian Arabs that chose to stay with their neighbors, they became full citizens of the reborn state of Israel. They have full rights, equal opportunities in the Israeli society.
But what happened to the others? The Arabs tell the story of the Palestinian Nakba, or catastrophe, in which the Jews expelled hundreds of thousands of Arabs by force. But the facts tell a very different story, one that started even before Israel became a state.
1 month before the Jews declared independence, British troops evacuated the northern coastal city of Haifa. When the Jewish Haganah took control, the city's Arabs were ordered to flee, but not by the Jews.
The Arab populations, many of them, heeded the calls from the Arab leaders. Leave the area so the conquering, advancing Arab armies can just kill the Jews and drive them into the sea. This is exactly what created the Palestinian refugee problem.
As one refugee told a Jordanian newspaper, the Arab government told us, get out so that we can get in. We got out, but they did not get in.
By the end of the war in 1949, around 600,000 Arabs had left Palestine. But today, over 5 million people are registered as Palestinian refugees. Why do their numbers keep growing? And why aren't they getting help from their fellow Arabs who encourage them to leave their homes in the first place?
The short answer is that they wanted to keep them as pawns, as a tool against Israel, to look at Israel and the Jews as those who created this quote-unquote injustice to the Palestinians.
The refugees should have been absorbed by their fellow Arabs in neighboring countries, but that plan fell apart when the Arab nations refused to take the Palestinians, even though they had been offered international funds to pay for them. The only exception was Jordan, which absorbed more than 2 million Palestinians.
By international law, the refugees that are in any country have to be treated with dignity. This was not the case with the Arab refugees of Palestine or with the Arab countries. They were denied citizenship, social security, healthcare, education, and they were put as a burden on the international community. Also, their children, who by law should receive citizenship as they were born in these countries, were denied citizenship.
Today, 1.8 million Palestinians live in the Gaza Strip, and 1.5 million of them are registered refugees who take help from the United Nations.
All the money that the international community gave to the Palestinians far surpasses any contributions, any donations that any other people received throughout history. This money was not used to solve the Palestinian refugee problems. Unfortunately, it was used to rearm and obtain terror capabilities against Israel.
For 7 decades, Arab leaders have pushed for a Palestinian right of return to Israel. But what you don't often hear is that the 1948 war created 2 sets of refugees, one Arab and one Jewish.
After Israeli independence, all bets were off. Ancient Jewish communities throughout the Middle East were decimated.
There were about 850,000 Jewish refugees from Arab countries. Most of them were expelled or ran away for their lives to Israel. They never had any compensations. They never had any restoration of their rights after their citizenship was stripped away from them. And why don't we hear about their Jewish refugee problem? Because Israel absorbed them from the get-go, and today they are descendants. They're proud Israeli citizens.
Throughout the 20th century, tens of millions of refugees around the world have been successfully resettled. So why haven't the Palestinians done the same? Here's how one of UNRWA's own directors, Sir Alexander Galloway, answered that question in 1952.
The Arab nations do not want to solve the refugee problem. They want to keep it as an open sore, as an affront to the United Nations, and as a weapon against Israel. Arab leaders do not give a damn whether Arab refugees live or die.
And this is what the tragedy is, that the Palestinians have not been able to produce leaders who would be strong enough, who would be courageous enough, who would be wise enough to really seek peace. This all or nothing approach leaves and will leave them with nothing.